All right. So this is Thursday, April 16th, advanced class. So the regular class, you have a different video if you're getting into it. We're going to be doing more with gospel. We'll get to the actual PowerPoints and learning stuff here in just a moment. Welcome to our first full post spring break week. We only have 5 more weeks of e-learning left, so yay. And let's get into our lovely learning stuff for today. Let me click over to, let's see, cancel the spotlight video on me. Come over to here. Yes, I want to do that. And come on, PowerPoint. You can do it. Way to go. All right. So information that I have for you guys. One, Skyward should be updated through last night, somewhat through this morning. Those of you who sent me messages this morning about missing a mythology test and stuff like that, I'll be looking for those to try and figure it out. Apparently, Socrative ate a couple people's tests. They're on there. I just have to search through all of it to try and find out what happened to them. So at least that gives you some idea. But those of you who turned in assignments yesterday, they should all be on Skyward. So if you go to Skyward and you're missing a thing and you think you turned in a thing, let me know, and I'm more than happy to go and find thing for you. Those of you who have missing work, you're going to have to go onto website to find directions because you cannot just ask me, what was it? I'm going to reply back with directions on website. I think I just cut and pasted that exact same response to like 50 kids in the last couple of days as they're like, hey, I don't know what I'm supposed to do. I cut and paste directions on website. So I'm going to tell you now, directions on website. If you ask me otherwise, you'll be, I'll just make fun of you. Make good choices on Zoom. If you annoy me, as apparently yesterday, my regular class, I had kids who are spamming the chat channel and just randomly spamming things over and over and over and over and over again. It pops up on my screen and I can see it. I just go in and I ban you, and then you don't get a chance to come back that day. And so if I have to ban you, I mean, I'll charge you B points, but does that really do any good? For the most part, just banning you seemed to do it for me. You'll notice for those of you who might be attempting to draw on the screen now, you can't. I finally taught myself how to stop you guys from drawing on the screen, you little hooligans, which I know does take some stuff away. As far as the chat goes, I have no problem if you guys use the chat. If you guys use it as a backroom channel to sort of talk to each other and have questions, I'm absolutely fine with that. That's why the chat is there. I can turn off the chat, as I've been told, but I don't want to turn off the chat. I'm more than fine with you guys using it as long as you just don't become annoying with it. So make good choices and you'll be okay. I have faith today will be smoother. I'm going to get better at this as we go along. Fingers crossed. Come on, button. Come on. Clicky button. There we go. From yesterday, this is not the one for today, just the one from yesterday. I enjoyed reading your guys' responses. When you do these, a couple things, you can get extra credit. Some of you guys, I gave 6 points instead of 5. Some of you guys only got 4 points because, as it said in the directions, if you don't have good grammar or capital letters and stuff like that, I charge you points. And so it was in the directions, just some of you guys don't read directions. So it'll be the same thing each day. If you have horrible writing, it drives me nuts, and I do end up charging you points. If you put really good detailed information in there that makes me smile, sometimes I'll give you the bonus point, which can take you up to 6 points. My only issue with this was that I hated not doing it live because I wanted to have conversations with you guys about the ability to be anonymous because you guys brought up really good points and stuff about the clothes mattering. And so this is a great conversation I'd like to have, but we just can't do it on Zoom very easily because we just talk over each other and it's chaos. But in the classroom, it would have been fun. This is just me being sad. All right. Next week, we are doing a virtual Spirit Week. Where they're going to be giving out gift cards to people. And so the way the Spirit Week works is it goes Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday for each of the different days. So as you go through and do it, you have to have social media. If you don't have social media, as it says up there, you're more than welcome to email it to them. If your parents have social media, then they can post it for you. Also realize this is run by old people. So their version of social media is not your version of social media. You'll notice it says nothing about Snapchat or TikTok, which is too bad because I think TikTok would be a great way of going about doing it. But you have to post it via Twitter, which I don't think any 7th grader has, Facebook, known as Boomer Book, which I don't think any kid has, or Instagram, which some of you do have. And so you have the tag at FJH Chargers PTO on there, or you can have your parents email them, or you can email them. Way to go, Bradley. I am proud of you for having Twitter. I think you're one of 5 7th graders. The trick is, do you actually use Twitter, or do you actually just have Twitter? Anyway, so Monday, you're going to show off your favorite dress code appropriate pajamas. Tuesday, you're going to do silly socks or a pretty pedicure. Personally, I'm going to be doing a pedicure because I have my daughter paint my toes. But that's just a me thing. I might do socks and a pedicure because I feel special. Wednesday, your spirit wear or school colors. Thursday, the throwback pictures. So I'm going to be showing you guys pictures of probably like my first year of teaching or something like that. And I'll throw that picture out there. And then Fancy Friday, how you dress for success. I have not figured out what I'm going to be doing for that yet, but I will figure that out soon. Hang on a second. I need to look at participants to there. Unfortunately, the person who has your hand raised, I have no idea who you are because for your name, all you have are two emojis, which looks like a duck and a dinosaur or something like that. So it's really hard to call on you if I have no idea who you are. So you're probably going to have to change your name. I'm going to go ahead and lower your hand until you can figure out who you are, you silly, silly child, you. Anyway, this is for next week. I'll be sending out something else for you. Ooh, Anonymous raised his hand, which is close, but Anonymous is not going to work either. Because the reason Anonymous is not going to work is we found out that over at HSE, they had random people who were hijacking their Zooms and doing really mean things like going on there and then coming on like the random name Anonymous or emojis and then yelling at other people in the chat, horrible things like that. So now if I don't know who you are, I can't call on you because I don't want my Zoom hijacked. And so, yeah, there's like a little button on the right-hand side, and it pops up when the thing says raise hand. So hopefully that helps you out. Ooh, there we go. Ryan, it's me. Ryan, what's up? You figured out how to say your name.
Yeah. Can you go back? I like the questions that we're doing today. Do we just pick a different question
for today? The question for today is the next screen. That was the question from yesterday.
Okay.
Yeah, you silly kid. I like your background, though. You made me smile. Go you. All right, and then to there. So that's the stuff for today that is coming up. I have not had a chance to get to it yet. There you go. Here is your thing for today. So moving forward, I will be putting the assignment question. Did you have a question, my child? No, I'm going to scream loud the whole time. It's how I teach. I'm a loud person. I'm like a math teacher.
I need to do my homework and I can't concentrate for yelling.
Well, then go farther away. Don't make me yell at you. Kids are watching.
I yell too.
Yeah. So, oh my goodness. Now, look, there's random people that they're going to get it. Go away, children. This is so incredibly unprofessional, and kids are going to, now they're saying hello to you. All right, go away so I can be a normal person. I don't even know who this kid is. This is a random street child.
Okay.
Who,
I love you.
I love you now. Go away.
Okay.
So the question for today. So moving forward, I'm going to be putting all of your assignment questions in the video because I found out from the mythology ones, apparently some kids were not actually watching the videos. They were just randomly looking at the questions and responding to things. So now I'm going to be putting your question in the actual video. Plus, you might have figured out that you cannot just go to room name Kyborg. Since I upgraded, now I have a different room name I can do, so it'll be open for a day. And so today's room name for today is Kyborg 41620. It's just today's date, April 16th, 2020. So it's not all that tricky of a one. So you only have one question for today. So it says pick one character from the book so far that we're going to be getting into and reading in just a second, and explain how you would connect them to someone you know personally, family, friend, teacher, etc., using a well thought out sentence. Bad grammar, horrible spelling, and short, poor info will give you a lower grade. So in a moment, when I get a chance to read in just a second, figure out which character you want to connect to somebody that you know. Hang on, not there, and so making sure I'm not missing anyone. Yay. Yay. All right, so that's today's question. So hopefully that helps out Ryan, which doesn't mean you get until we actually get the chance to get to the reading. Again, if you don't have the book and you're wanting it, there is an ebook version on my website. The Gospel According to Larry website is up. I do not have an audiobook version because one does not exist. I've been looking for it to try and buy it, but apparently it has not been made, so I can't buy a thing that does not exist. Now it's time for actual reading and getting into it. We're going to get a chance to hear my melodic voice. I will pop up the listing of all of you guys. So if you have a question, let me know. Let's see if I put this over here to this side so I can still see the screen. There we go. So if you have a question, it should pop up and let me know. I think I'm good to go. Yay. All right. So from where we left off yesterday, we had just gotten to the beginning where the kid Josh, who is a character in the book because it's his life story, dropped off with Janet, who is the author who got the book published because she's the famous person. Now we get to the part where it says the Gospel According to Larry, in my own words, by Josh Swinson. Part 1. This is the disciple which testifieth of these things and wrote these things, and we know that his testimony is true. St. John 21:24. We're going to find out the book has religious connections because of how it's written, but it is not a religious book. It'll make more sense when we get into it. It's his sort of way of bringing attention to things. All right, so starting on page 7. I haven't enjoyed a rant this much since Thoreau, Beth said. Now, it has, I don't know if you guys don't have your own copy on there, what it's going to end up having is these little footnotes at the bottom. So as I read it, I have to keep jumping down to the footnotes down there. Henry David Thoreau. Ooh, I have a picture for you. Not that one. That's his website. That one we did already. I posed for you guys yesterday. There's Walden. We did that one. There's Henry David Thoreau, the guy who wrote Walden, which plays a big role in the book. It's this guy who's a philosopher who's like, give up all of your possessions. Basically, who's the first hippie. Not there. There we go. To this one. I haven't enjoyed a rant this much since Thoreau, Beth said. We need people stirring up the way we think about things. Footnote. Henry David Thoreau wrote Walden and Civil Disobedience. We had to read them for English last semester. It was very New England. Nature is good, materialism is bad. Beth ate it up with a spoon. My best friend, Beth, was trying to talk me into forming a Larry study group with her. His website, www.thegospellaccordingtolarry.com, received hundreds of hits a day, mostly from teens and college students. No one knew Larry's identity, and that conjecture alone was the source of several companion websites. Many kids at school were fans, but Beth was rabid. Josh, I know neither one of us has ever joined a club in our life, she said, but that's precisely why we should. I tried to listen to the details of her story. I really did. But there's something about Beth's mouth that gets in the way of paying attention to its contents. She would hate me for saying this with her "don't objectify me" rant. Protest all you want, Beth. It's the truth. She often wore a certain brown lipstick and outlined the edges of her lips with this pencil she carried in her bag. Every time she talked, it was like this pale chocolate snow cone staring up at me, waiting to be eaten. I've been in love with her since 6th grade, but she didn't have a clue. I'll help you with the club, I said, but just so the two of us can bag all the meetings and laugh at the other people who show up. She was not amused. This isn't a joke. Someone is finally talking about the things I've been saying all along, and I think it's important to help spread the word. Are you in or are you out? Of course I'm in. I can't let you do this on your own. Next thing I know, you'll be running for, prom queen or something. She punched me in the arm, her usual form of affection. Hey, why don't you help me at the store this afternoon? We're having a run on shovels. Now, Beth's father's hardware store had been our work/treehouse/summer camp since grammar school, sorting the nuts and bolts, counting the different light bulbs, shoveling the wood chips into wheelbarrows had never seemed like a job to either of us. The small store prided itself on carrying everything a homeowner could need, but for a loner like me, it was a non-threatening way to be a part of the community without too much social pressure. I told Beth I'd meet her there for a brief moment, I pretended we were a couple, not snowbound outside Boston, but romping through the Caribbean surf, tan and in love. My fantasy shattered, however, when she waved goodbye and headed across the cafeteria to Todd Terrific, a new jock she was obsessed with. Can someone please explain to me how this preoccupation with dopey athletes happens even to headstrong young women who work in hardware stores and score 1350s on their SATs? Beth, what are you doing to me? Life was cruel and unfair. What did this Larry guy have to say about that? The rest of school went by like that movie Groundhog Day, where Bill Murray wakes up and every day is the same, down to the last boring details. But when something new did happen, like fire drill, substitute teacher, it was still just a giant yawn in the storyline. To keep myself amused during study hall, I invented a new alphabet based on the sense of smell. Footnote, I also wrote a skit for Monty Python in case they ever wanted to reunite, then drew sketches for the Gumby art project I was working on. You got to keep busy, I always say. One, the pictures that you see up there now, the Ministry of Silly Walks is from Monty Python. I will be sending out a remind link after this gets done of Monty Python to give you guys a chance. If you've never watched Monty Python, I'm going to send you a couple YouTube links to entertain you. Definitely worth taking a look at. If you've never watched Groundhog's Day, oh, definitely worth watching on that one too. And so this things he's referring to on that one, especially now since you have a whole bunch of free time, I highly recommend watching some Monty Python. But anyway, I'll send out a link after this to sort of entertain you if you're wanting to take a look at it. At home that night, I booted up my laptop and logged on. I checked my email, then the small portfolio of stocks my mother left me when she died. I made one last online stop to Larry. I wondered if Beth was doing the same thing at the same time, an unrequited cyber date. The Larry logo filled the screen, a peace sign with a dove, a floppy disk, a planet, and a plug inside each of its 4 sections. I scrolled down through several photographs to comments people had written that day. Pole John posted a new link to Adbusters. Toe Jam ranted about Larry's last sermon, calling it brilliantly flawed. I was in the middle of reading his argument when Peter knocked quickly, then stuck his head in my room. Hey, you want some leftover pizza? My stepfather was the ultimate businessman. Even in his terry cloth robe and slippers with the squashed heels, he could command his advertising consulting firm from the brink of failure to unbridled success. He had the whole sales thing down, the firm handshake, the warm smile, the good listening. It was the real Peter, not some put-on thing like lots of other guys at his company. He looked over my shoulder and checked out the screen. Ugh, I've heard about this Larry, he said. Some guy bashing our culture online. Anonymous coward. I don't know. Some people think it's one of the big televangelists trying to reach the teen market. Or maybe it's a bored housewife in the suburbs looking for something to do. Oh, the bell work yesterday when you guys had those 5 things to choose from, and one of them was about being anonymous online. This is where it's going to play a big role because Larry, the Gospel According to Larry, the website they're talking about, no one knows who runs it. That's where the anonymous thing comes in. And sort of the speculation becomes if it's an old person trying to corrupt kids or if it's a kid doing it. It's like the first part of this book is trying to figure out who this Larry person is. And everyone has their own theories on who it might be. Peter shook his head. Nah, it's probably just some hacker trying to make a name for himself. All right, I'll add that to the list of hypotheses, I said. You do that. He handed me a slice of pizza on a paper towel. Hey, dinner at Catherine's tomorrow? That okay with you? Sure, great. Catherine was my stepfather's girlfriend who'd been putting on the full court press to be the next Mrs. Swinson. I didn't have the nerve to tell Peter I found her as interesting as a bag of rice. Okay, quick time out again. So we've now met Josh, the kid who's telling the story, and then his stepfather, Peter. But then it gets confusing because his stepfather has a girlfriend. And you're like, well, shouldn't his stepfather's girlfriend be Josh's mom? We're going to find out here coming up that Josh's mom is dead. And so his dad left when he was younger, and then he was living with just his mom, and then his mom started dating Peter, and then his mom died, so now he's just living with Peter. So both his biological parents are dead. So we get to sort of like a big depressing thing, but then it gets better as it goes along. So Peter is his stepdad, and stepdad is trying to date this Catherine girl. Yeah, I know, it's all over the place. Have faith, it'll make sense. Peter closed the door and then headed downstairs to his office. I browsed the Larry archives, then printed out the latest sermon to prepare for Beth tomorrow. Sermon number 93. Slip on your Gap jeans, your Nike t-shirt, your Reeboks, or maybe even your Cons if you think that makes you cool and ironic in a Kurt Cobain kind of way. Grab your Adidas backpack, ride to school on your Razor, drink your Poland Spring, eat your Power Bar, write a paper on your iMac, slip on your Ralph Lauren windbreaker, buy the latest CD from Tower, check the caller ID to see who's on the phone, eat your Doritos, drink your Coke, stare at the TV till you're stupefied. Is there any time of the day when you're not being used and abused by the advertising companies? Can we have an inch of free space? Do you mind? Some ambitious kids rent their headspace. the outside, not the inside, although the inside space is certainly emptier, to local companies by shaving ads into their hair for all their friends to see. It's just a matter of time before corporations figure out a way to sell you stuff while you're sleeping. Maybe some kind of vitamin that releases visual and sonic enzymes that run like a ticker tape through your dreams. All the latest releases now at Blockbuster. Cheesier nachos at Chili's. By the way, you're snoring. By the way, this always entertains me, this part in here, because it talks about Blockbuster, because Blockbuster was big when it came out. For those of you who have no idea what Blockbuster is, because it's like the old Netflix, it's where you could get movies instead of streaming them. They came on little discs that they would drop off at your house, and you get a chance to use them and stuff like that. That's what Blockbusters is. Yes, I am. I'm a boomer. I'm not a boomer. Am I the only one who sees the irony of sitting in lit class reading 1984 and having a discussion of Big Brother watching out for us like it's sometime way in the future? Some science fiction nightmare that's never really going to happen? Hello! Our lives couldn't be more dictated by the corporations if they gave our schools AV equipment in exchange for making us watch commercials in class. Oh yeah, they do that already. Never mind. Good thing Peter hadn't hung around for that one. By 2 a.m., I had 14 pages of notes for the new Larry Club. Footnote. I'd helped Beth for as long as possible, providing I could leave the club as soon as it got weird. Too many people at the same time usually sends me heading for the hills. When I added up all the things I'd done for Beth over the years, I figured it was more effort than they put into developing the last space shuttle, and completely and totally worth it. If you've not picked up on it yet, Josh has what's called a small crush on this Beth girl. I know he's doing a really good job of hiding it, but he kind of likes her. On that thing that we just went through, there's going to have these sermons are sort of like online rants that Larry does and then posts to his website. And that's what kids get all excited about and why all the kids keep going to the website, because basically he just unleashes on people with these sermons and rants and attacks people. And that's why people enjoy it. The first one, this sermon number 93 that we get to, is all about anti-consumerism and the fact that you shouldn't be forcing things down people's throats. The bell work from yesterday had those 5 options. One of them was about wearing clothes that have name brands. Larry goes against the idea of name brands and the fact that you should not be doing stuff like that. He says it's dumb enough that eventually we're going to start like shaving things into our head. And so I Googled shaving things into our head, and that's where I got this idea of tattooing. Apparently there's a number of people who have sold their head for tattoos, and you can tattoo things onto your head and then they'll pay you money for it because some people are idiots. And then the other part that he talked about was the advertising by playing commercials at school. If you remember in the cafeteria above where the guy, Mr. Timmons stands, where they have like the podium and he yells at you, there's a TV hanging on the wall up there. They used to, this company called Channel 1 News gave free TVs to schools, but you had to play their Channel 1 News program. And then they would put commercials in there to play it for the kids and made a whole bunch of money off of that. Now we do CNN, which doesn't play commercials and it's not as bad, but that's what he's talking about, the fact that they used to force kids to watch these actual random commercials on this Channel 1 News thing in exchange for us getting TVs. But now those TVs are old and extinct because they've been back in the 1990s they started doing that. And so now it's no longer really a thing whatsoever. All right, I'm going to read just a little bit more and then we'll be done. New chapter. Oh, by the way, the whole book as we go through, it does not have chapter numbers or chapter names. It just sort of like separates from one chapter to the next, which makes it a little bit tough to give you guys reading checkpoints, but I'll explain as we get into it. Joining anything was not my usual thing by a long shot. Oh, wait, I forgot. I have a picture. I went in there and found the pictures of the ones that are up there. These are the TVs I was referring to that are up there on the top. Some teachers still have TVs up there. I used a sledgehammer to take mine down, so it's no longer up there. But there's the ones that are around the school, so you still get a chance to see them. All right. It's like that show Survivor. I read in the paper that 50 million people watched it last night. Talk about a reason not to watch something. I don't know about you, but if 50 million people are doing something, I want to be doing something else. Big time. My stepfather's girlfriend calls me quirky, but most of the kids in my school would probably just call me weird. I'm used to it though. It's always been that way. I mean, when you're sitting in 3rd grade wearing a paper pyramid on your head to see if the rays of energy will help you concentrate, You're getting some kids looking at you like you're a cuckoo. The good news was I never cared, never came home crying, never worried, oh gosh, what will the other kids think? Just plain old oblivious. There's something to be said about ignorance being bliss. Footnote, not too much, of course, but something. When my mother was still alive, she used to threaten the principal for more services, extra tutors, more challenging work. He's 7 years old with an 8th grade math level. You're wasting his time making him add 2 plus 2, she'd yell. I'll homeschool him, I swear. Yeah, Mom, sure. Maybe after a handful of Prozac and a lobotomy. If you don't know what a lobotomy is, again, this is where I wish that I could talk to you guys in person. But a lobotomy is where they take like a tool and they put a thing in your head and they basically like take out your brain and you get to be like a drooling vegetable kind of person. They used to think it could help you with like brain damage and they would take out chunks of your brain, but apparently all it did was make you more brain damage. But you know, medicine in the 1800s and 1950s. God rest her soul. She was a tireless advocate for me, but she could sit still about as much as I could. I can picture her homeschooling me now, the two of us spelling vocabulary words as we rolled down the hill behind the cemetery. She was a character, loud voice, loud music, loud clothes, so much fun. Until the ovarian cancer. Much less fun after that. For most of my life with her, the stimulation level was high, and that's always been a turn on for me. I didn't crawl or walk. One day, I just got up and ran. My very first word, yelled, not spoken from my car seat as we cruised down the highway, was faster. And once I got a hold of numbers, forget about it. There's a home video of me, probably about 2 years old, sitting on one of those jumpy seats in the kitchen. I'm in front of the refrigerator with colored magnetic numbers doing equations. My mother's talking to one of her girlfriends while she's taping me, saying, footnote, forgot that one, missed on equations. Footnote says, I swear to God, this is true, 2 years old. When most babies want formula, they're not talking about math. But it wasn't just numbers. It was learning in general that excited me. I'd go through phases where I devoured any information about the Civil War, Tibetan Buddhism, alpine mountaineering, and planting a perennial garden. I don't know if you know this, but you can lose a lot of friends talking nonstop about peat moss. The usual kid activities like baseball and soccer didn't interest me. I remember having huge fights with my mother while she held open the screen door and forced me to play outside with the neighborhood kids. If you don't go out and play with Carl and Brian right now, there'll be no science homework after dinner. And don't even think about taking my biology away. Josh, you get out there and you get some fresh air, or so help me God, I'm bringing those math books back to the library. She'd boot me out the door, kicking and screaming. And as the years went by, I still preferred to work on my laptop in my hammock swing than to be at the high school Super Bowl. Beth used to call me the wizard, like I was some overgrown Harry Potter. She thought I just twirled around, wasting time, visiting various dictionary sites to look up words like napiform. Napiform means turnip-shaped. This is a turnip, but you know that. Oh, quick time out again. If you want to get in a fight with your parents because you've been sitting around way too long, you should work napiform into a conversation and just be like, oh, Mom, I see Break has been treating you really well. Your napiform outfit is lovely. And then you can just sit there and giggle because she'll have no idea what you're referring to, not knowing that you just refer to her as a giant ball. That's only if you're going insane and you can run away from them when she attacks you with a giant frying pan. But to each their own. You are not the average 17-year-old, she told me once. But then again, you weren't the average 15 or 12-year-old either. I had to agree with her there. It's very simple, really. I've only wanted one thing my whole life, to contribute, to help make the world a better place. It sounds amazingly corny, but pushing civilization forward has always been my highest priority. Not with more technology, not with more money, but with more ideas, more meaning. When we studied Darwin last year, his ideas burned off the page. All of us, evolving, moving forward, consciously or not, is probably what was in the back of my mind when I moved those plastic numbers across the refrigerator. It's what's on my mind as I type this now. If Larry was a way to delve into life's deeper meaning, count me in. that is where I'm going to stop with you guys for today, which is on page 20. I figured that gave us about 25 minutes of actual learning. Your only homework for me is not reading yet. Eventually we'll get there. But this book is a fast book, so we'll do more discussion-y things. I have an assignment we're going to do next week, which involves you guys actually talking to each other. But that's it for now. Do the Socrative. If you're missing a past Socrative, you're more than welcome to go on my website and cover it from there. Hang on one second. If you don't have a question for me and you are just bored, you're more than stop sharing. There we go. Back to me. Then you're more than welcome to skedaddle and get off. I was getting ready to check chat and take a look at a few things from there, answer questions, go through things like that before getting ready for regular class. But as far as actual stuff for today, that's all I have for you. We've read, answered the Socratic questions. We're going to get into more of the characters, and that's about it. Let's see what you guys have chat-wise. You guys have been going through there and babbling. Is this stupid stack it? Yeah. Minimize that. There we go. Can you go back to the Socratic questions? I can once I've posted it, but I'm not going to do it right now. Do you guys have anything? Yes, I will be sitting up. If you guys have not looked up Monty Python and you want to put off doing homework for a while, I highly recommend it. For those of you who want something to look for, here are the ones I'm going to be sending out to you. Argument Clinic, Ministry of Silly Walks, and Dead Parrot. Those are the three I'm going to be sending out to you. If you can find a way to watch Monty Python and the Holy Grail, I highly recommend that one. That is what a lot of the quotes are being thrown out as I see in the chat and stuff like that. It's definitely going to be entertaining. If you're not familiar with British humor, then you're in for a treat. For those of you who have seen Monty Python and enjoyed it, I highly recommend a book called Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. It is that same type of humor, but it's sort of like a sci-fi version of it. And it is absolutely astounding. There's like multiple books in the series, but Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, if you can find a way to get a hold of that book, I mean, I'm sure you can get like an ebook or something like that. It is definitely something. All right, hang on one second. I'm just looking through the chat stuff to make sure. Oh, wait a second. Stuber. Stuber. You ready?
Yeah, I have a drawing. You have to look.
Hang on a second. Spotlight. Ooh, wow. That is creepy and awesome at the same time.
Thank you.
Yeah, I highly recommend that for a sidewalk chalk. That might make an impression on random children who walk by and see it. I think it would be good to educate them about the awareness of life and death. Nicely done.
I'm good.
Let's see. Wait, and that is Stuber. I can lower your hand and back to there and go away. Chat. Right. Chat. Minimize. All right. It won't let you choose your own picture. Say screen share. No, I'm not doing that. Hungry. Where's the chat button? Hopefully you guys found that. Just going through. I have like a whole bunch of chat. Next time we do this next week, I'm actually going to have my. Am I anonymous enough? Yes. Good job, anonymous. I'll have the actual chat open on a separate screen, so I should be able to see it all at the same time. And that way I'll know if I have to be mean to anybody faster. But it looks like you guys were not nearly as horrifying as regular class yesterday, where they just kept spamming entire things to fill up the screen. You guys actually had fairly normal, entertaining stuff in there. Let's see. The rabbit does have teeth. Good. You guys went on a whole Monty Python rant. I'm proud of you. More Monty Python. Yes, I got that. Good job. You are fun. Not Minty Python, but Monty Python. Is there going to be a test on this? Yes, Morrissey, if you're still in here. There will be was that your question that you're raising your hand for? I just saw it. Yes, there will be a final test. There will be a quiz. There's going to be activities we have coming up, which you're going to do, which will be for a grade, which will be like a interactive thing. There's going to be quizzes, and then there's also going to be a final test that all connect to the same thing. So it will not just be Socratives. There'll be other things that go along with it too. Morrissey, I pre-programmed the reminds, so I don't have to sit here and type in front of you. So that's my sneaky thing, or sometimes that freaks kids out, where I can just have them pre-programmed. So I set them up in the morning, because if not, I tend to forget, because boomer brain. And so I just go ahead and do them ahead of time. So that way I don't have to get distracted. I can't do them mentally, because that would be awesome if I could just sit there like while talking to you guys and it's like, oh no, I got you. I'm not Professor X. Oh, good job, James. Yes, you figured it out. Go you. James is so smart. Well, James, you have to do your homework before your parents take away your homework. It feels like I'm responding to these things from so long ago. I cannot go back to the question. I will be uploading this to what you call that place? YouTube, and you can check on it there if you did that. I would say next time, screenshot it. I'll tell kids to screenshot it next time. Yes, you have to watch at least one of Mrs. Randall's Zooms. I think she's doing like the same Zoom multiple times. It's like a longer Zoom, but you only have to watch one of them for what she told me. All right. And yes, cheese is delicious. I eat it every day. And that's about it. All right. I think that's all I have for you guys. If you have questions, let me know. Beyond that, I'll post this to YouTube, and then we don't have to meet again until next week. I guess that's it. Enjoy, smile, stay sane. I have no idea what you guys are chatting now. You're just very special and strange children, but we'll learn to survive from there. All right, now to go deal with those regular kids. Oh, and send out a remind, which I have to actually type with my own hands. So I have to go actually type a one to send out the links for you guys. Check you.